What's up, family? What's cracking? Let's see, do I like the volume? Turn up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up the volume now. Then I be having to turn it down because afterwards I get straight to studio time. This thing be blasting in my ear. I be shocked. Alright. Yeah, that's perfect. Probably a little too loud. Alright, what's up, fam? No intro because I still ain't loaded up. I kind of like getting into the live without doing the intro. We might bring it back. We might not. Depends on if I feel like it. If I get called to bring it back, I'll bring it back. Today, we're going to talk about kids. Kids today versus kids in past generations. So basically, how the kids are growing up today versus how kids are growing up in past generations. This topic was inspired from my bestie's paper she wrote. So we was discussing this and a lot of cool things came up. So I figured let's bring it to the podcast. Actually asked the question in my skateboard community. They had some cool stuff to say about it. So they'll probably be happy to see this. So let's just talk about it. And in the comment section, when you hop on, if you hop on while this is live, make sure you say what's up and join the conversation. Yeah, I mean, this is not like a one perspective type of thing. It's always like an open type of forum. It's like a fireside chat. So let's just start off by listing a couple of the differences. We're just going to run through them and then we'll talk about the specifics and why they kind of happened, why these differences took place. So outside, back in the day, you already know, I was thinking about this so much today. This is truly, I was on the fence about this topic. This is really why I picked it. So it's football Sunday, Stiller Sunday is what we call it in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Stiller Sunday, period. So I was just thinking as I was watching the game, like, yo, when we were kids, my street, Holland Avenue, shout out everyone who lived on the street or came to the street to play. When we were kids, basically, as soon as the Steeler game was over, everyone would rush outside, especially like when it was a game like this, a close, it cut like a nail biting type of game. You don't know what's going to happen, and then we end up pulling it off. We used to be so excited, like, oh! You see us running outside, and that whole rest of the day until about 9 o'clock at night, until we had to go in the house, we are playing football. We're duplicating all of the highlight plays. Like, okay, you're going to be this person. You're going to be Burrs. I'm going to throw it to you. You run 90. I'm going to throw it to you at the end zone. You got to keep your 2 feet in at the curb. Oh, and we recreate all the plays. So this is the type time we was on in past generations, like just going outside, having a good time every day. Now it's more so of a structured play thing. Yeah, I mean, people have their kids in structured events, and we had these back in the day too. You had Boys and Girls Club, where they had different events that went on at different times. Kingsley House in Pittsburgh, where different things went on at different times. Of course, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. So we did have structured things, but right now it's like that's really what it is. Like the kids aren't outside. When you go outside, you don't see a gang of kids. It's very rare. Now, where I'm at, I do see kids, but I skate. And that's when I see kids outside for real, that's what they're doing. They skateboarding. So that's kind of rare, y'all. But when I do see kids outside right now, on more so a daily basis, it's like they're skateboarding. But even then, it looks like they're kind of like transporting. Like they're not even necessarily out there skating. Like I don't always. I just saw 2 kids who looked like they were literally playing as they were skateboarding. Like they had their boards. They was doing tricks. They chilled for like an hour. That's playing. Most of the time when I see the kids on skateboards, it look like they're going somewhere. So it's just different now. So structured play is the thing of today. Internet, social media. The kids know the phone like it's crazy. Like, the kids are like scientists to me. Yeah, I mean, the way little babies can pick up a phone, go to Facebook and just start looking, or go to TikTok. That's what they're going to. Go to TikTok and start scrolling like, yo, how did this baby do that? So the kids got the internet now. They got social media. We didn't have that. I'll say maybe when I was turning 14, around that area, like middle school era, we had like chat rooms were like just starting to be a thing. And if you had parents that was watching the news, your ass was not on no chat room, because yeah, I mean, they had that stigma on them. Then we're going to get into that right now, like later on in the conversation, about some of the stigmas that were there then and some of the stigmas that have kind of been erased. But just because you don't hear about something, you still got to be careful. You feel me? Alright, so back in the day, arcades. If it wasn't the arcade, we didn't do arcades. That was more so, I want to say 70s, early 80s babies. For my generation, it was home consoles. So you had your PlayStation, your Nintendo, whatever it was, and you had companies. So that everyone came to, whatever kid was the kid who was allowed to have the most kids in their house, that's the house that you were at. Anytime it was like, yo, we want to play video games, you went to one house, and all the friends came to that house, ate, yeah, I mean, chill, and played video games all day. So it was literally like an arcade, but inside of the crib, because we had the home consoles, right? So within that, you have a lot of interacting. So that's a huge difference. Now the kids, when they get on, a lot of times it's just one kid, maybe a brother with them, maybe one friend, but usually it's one kid with their headset on, and they may be playing with up to 20, 30, 40 kids, yeah, I mean, depending on what game they're playing, but it's not an in-person thing. It's over social media, you know what I mean? So that's a huge difference. So the last difference that I want to point out, I think it's the most beneficial difference. I think it's actually the biggest difference, is the fact that these kids are able to speak to someone in China. Like, even when they're playing video games, there could be a kid from Beijing on that game, and they play the game at the same time. Like, they've built a rapport to where now they play the game at the same time with dude every day. So they're building a rapport, a friendship, whatever you want to call it, right? So that, in a sense, I mean, that's totally different. Now, you compare it to our day. I said in our day, we had, if anything, and no one really did this, this was a school thing. If you were even going to contact anyone from across the world, it was probably going to be like a school assignment, something that would take place for maybe a semester or so, and it would be via pen pal. But imagine how hard, like I said, someone, if you're playing a video game, Johnny's in, you know what I mean, or Tyreek, whatever you want to say, is in America. And then you got this other kid who's in Beijing playing the same video game. You don't really have to know how to speak the language. So breaking down the language barrier, so people are just bonding over their hobbies, bonding over the things that they like to do. With the pen pal thing, it's very hard to find. You have to literally do the research. There would have to be like a pen pal program. That's why it probably took place in school. Probably a pen pal program where the kids who spoke English, who wanted to communicate with American kids, signed up for the pen pal program. Then out of that pool, we had so many kids in our, grade levels that were picked to be in the pen pal program, because there were so many kids across the world who spoke fluent English to be able to pen pal. So it's a whole different thing. These kids are literally able to gain out. Now, I'm not saying strong friendships or strong relationships, but they're able to communicate on a daily basis with people that live across the world, which means they are coming in contact with way more culture. They're being inundated with way more culture, which is a good thing. That's a great thing. That makes you a lot smarter when you're not just stuck in what's going on here. You know what I mean? In my day, it was the bee's knees to only know about this. Whatever was going on here, that was it. Now it's more so of a worldwide thing. You feel me? So, outside playtime. Who remembers going outside every day? I don't have the numbers up right now, but I'll ask if we can. I have to ask my bestie. I don't know how it works. We might have to even wait. But there were what was it? What was being said? If we could post that paper. But there was they were basically asking parents about their experience playing outside versus their children's experience, right? So within them doing that, I think the kids, they were saying that the parents basically played 50% more outside. Basically, the parents were saying that they played every day. Like, yeah, when I was a kid, we played every single day outside. And some kids only play outside, I think, at the least once a week. It was something crazy. Like, what the heck? That's outrageous, right? So, with that being said, what are the effects of it? So we always talk about like what's going on. This is happening, that's happening. I think it's important that we see like, well, what is it doing? And what a lot of us are noticing is it's kind of causing for more social anxiety. Once they do have to go out into the real world, communicate with people, whether it be an event like a play or it's just the social skills are not clicking the same. Now, they're not clicking horrible, but you can tell that there's a disconnect between this generation and physical interaction with people because they do a lot of their interaction on these social networks. So that is kind of what the result is of the lack of outside time. Now, for me, I like the approach of the parent infusing a bit of their childhood into the child's life. Like, you don't gotta make your child relive your childhood, but you should show them. Like, my dad used to show us all types of cool stuff, and some things we like, sometimes some things we like, nah, we don't want to do that one again, Dad. But he allowed us to see, like, okay, and my dad's older, so that was shit that they were doing maybe in the 50s growing up. Climbing trees, stuff like that everyone's not doing. So, like, take your kids outside, teach them how to climb trees. My mom, and she's not the most athletic, but at least I wouldn't have pegged my mom as being super athletic when she showed us this. She was just my mom, right? But she showed me and my twin how to climb up on the garage roofs. For no reason at all. One day we just seen the roofs, and she was like, yeah, we used to climb up on those when we were kids. And we were like amazed, like, how? How were you climbing up on there? Like, did you have a ladder? She's like, no, this is what you do. And then she went, the roofs are side by side. I mean, the garages are side by side. And they have, they're bricks. They're made with them bricks. So you get in between them and you take your feet. I'm going to stand up to show y'all. And you kind of spider your way up the wall. So my mom, she didn't do it, but she just showed us, like, you do this. And then we did it. And there was a pole. So once you got so far, you could pull yourself up. That was cracking because we literally showed everyone that. The whole street. That we made the garage roof our den. When we played Release the Den, like, all right, this is the den. Which was dangerous as hell. But anyway. So I do suggest that if you're a parent, especially because the kids are not going outside, they're not having that type of fun, they're not interacting, maybe get a group of their friends together and show them some it's new-ish. The old becomes new because it's going to be new to them, but it's really old. But for the most part, kids like to learn new. I love showing kids new stuff that's really old stuff. They be amazed, like, oh, And I'd be like, yeah, I knew you would like this because it's fun. So just infuse a bit of the things that you used to do inside of your kids' childhood. See how they react to it. See if they like it. Some things, like I said, they won't want to do. Some things they're going to love. Like, yo, we should always do this. So that's a good idea. Good, just one little thing that you can do if you feel like your kid's not getting enough playtime outside. Now, the structured playtime, I'm not really against structured playtime. I feel like I needed more structured playtime as an adult. I had massive free playtime, and we were ringing doorbells, knocking on doorbells, running. We was doing all types of stuff. You know what I mean? Going to stores, grabbing. So that's what happens when you have like maybe a little too much free playtime with no supervision, and it's just kids running their little world. So structured playtime, I'm not against. I like the idea of keeping kids busy in some type of structure, but I also do believe that children definitely need to experience childhood. And I didn't even really think about this until today. But like I said, we're going to tap into the whys. I love tapping into the whys of things, or the what will happen, like what's the result going to be. So if you're on such a tight schedule, that's kind of like some adult stuff, y'all. Like, oh, I gotta be here. I gotta be here. When it makes me think of, I don't know if y'all could resonate if y'all bang with Disney. This is old Disney, but Alice in the Wonderland, where the bunny's like, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. And he's rushing around. He got the clock and all that, right? And I believe the bunny is already in that alternate universe. So you don't really... Thank you. So, alternate universe, metaphysics, whatever you want to call it. Time is what locks you in to the Matrix. Like, on some real ish. If you notice, as a child, you're way more free. You had way more freedom in thought, way more freedom in spirit. The way you maneuvered was free. Once you grow up, and you start it, and it's not even all the way grown. Like, as you start getting older, you start losing your childhood spirit. And y'all know I'm always talking about tapping into your childhood, tapping into your inner child. I'm always speaking on that. Very important to your awakening. Very important to you being able to, like, basically tap into your feminine and masculine energy. Very important on you being able to control your energies. A lot of that lies into tapping into that inner child, awakening it and healing it, and then, rocking with it. So, like I was saying, it is time that locks you all the way into this thing. So as you're a baby, you're growing. 1,000,000 strong and growing. So you're growing, right? But as you start to hit, like, I'll say like middle school, that's when, because remember, in elementary, you're in time, so you're not as free as you once were, but they're not really switching your classes. I don't know if it's still like this in school, in elementary. Y'all gotta let me know. But when I was in there, you pretty much had the same teacher except for your elective class, whether it was a gym class, art class, or music class. That was the only time you left, and you only had one of those a day. So for what, you're in school for about 8 hours a day, so for about 7 of those hours you were with one teacher. So that's still not locking you in on the Matrix. You know what I mean? You're still not really in a tight schedule until you hit middle school, and that bell, Savor the bell. When that bell starts ringing, which they say, you can look this up, they correlate the school system to the prison system. That's why they say the school system is basically a pipeline to prison. But, and if it's not, you can correlate the two things. I don't believe in, no, this is wrong. Yeah, that's right. I'm someone who lives in the gray, and I'm open to all of them. And to me, after research, both of these make sense. Pipeline to prison makes sense. also pipeline to you being locked down in this 9 to 5 career, being on that system, your lunch breaks, your 2 15-minute breaks, like school, high school, middle school starts to prepare you for that. That's why they bring in that bell. And the bell, even if we're not talking prison, there's a bell in prison, but if we're talking about old school, we gotta remember these schools were built, a lot of these schools are old. Like the schools that I went to, a lot of those buildings were like built 100 years ago. You know what I mean? And that was like when I went to them. So they're like 130 years old now, 135 years old now. So when these buildings were built with these old school bells, it was during like the industrial period where the factories were booming. That's where everyone was working. I'm from Pittsburgh, so it was like the Westinghouse factory was the big one. And there was one more. The Westinghouse factory was like the biggest though. So basically, around 100 years ago, 130 years ago, that's when most of these school buildings were born. They put in the same bell systems that are inside of those factories. Like I said, training your subconscious mind for what you're going to be doing at work. So, and same thing with the pipeline of prison. Prison having the same system, the same kind of warden type of, you do as you told, same type of thing, preparing you for that. So, as far as being on a schedule, and with children now being locked into structured playtime, that is locking kids into the matrix. If a kid always has something to do at every scheduled point, that's the matrix. They're on the matrix. So what I would suggest, and like I said, I like structured playtime because I also feel like it can lead them out of jail. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to be caught up playing around or getting caught up with too much free time. I got into a lot of trouble at a lot of free time, but too much structured time. And let me tell you why I'm saying this. We don't want to lock our kids permanently into the matrix at an early age, because remember, one of the main things is awakening your inner child as you get older. Inevitably, no matter what, you're going to lose touch with your inner child. That's just what happens. As you get older, though, depending on what you're going to do or what your role is, what you were sent to do spiritually, it will start to, like, you'll start to either feel like, damn, I need to start tapping into things that I used to like to do. Some of you will go deeper and become like real spiritual with it, so you'll learn that aspect of it. But at some point, you're going to begin to start tapping into your inner child and trying to make that part of you happy. Like, you know what I mean? That's what it's about, really fulfilling it, healing it, because the inner child is you. It's the base. It's literally the base of you. So if the children now are always locked into the matrix, essentially not giving them a childhood to start with, if they've been locked into I'm talking about heavy structured playtime, and we know the kids aren't really playing outside, we want to make sure that they still have something to tap into to awaken. You feel me? So we got to make sure that when these things, because listen to what I said, it's called something. Structured playtime. We didn't name that. We didn't call this structured playtime. A lot of things can be pushed on us without us knowing when we're, in the matrix. So you have to be very aware what is being pushed on and what the effects are. Things can sound very, very innocent, but tapping in and knowing what is, learning that universal law is important, because you can kind of see beyond the veil on, like, okay, what are the effects of this? That's what this show is for us to, like, it won't always be this topic, but it's just for us to have an open forum, an open mind about things. So yeah, structured playtime, great to keep children out of trouble, but you do, like I said, round the kids up. If your kids got friends, but their friends just all stay at the house and play video games and they talk to each other, tell your kid, like, all right, get your friends together. If it's summertime, we're going to the pool today. I mean, all right, get your friends together. We going to this today. All right, get your friends together. We signing y'all up for summer camp today. I mean, make sure that they're having those just real free moments where they can experience, have fun things happening, have those memories to share with their friends, so they have something to tap into when they get older. We don't want them to be adults right now. You feel me? It's not beneficial for the spiritual growth, because once you lose childhood, that's one thing you can never go back to. So if we know certain people, like a lot of us feel like there were aspects of our childhood that were ripped away from us. And those are the aspects that we're healing. But just from the nature of the time period that we grew in, no matter how bad you had it, you've probably experienced still at some point something that was childlike in your life. You feel me? Just because of the time period. So, yeah, now the arcade thing, I think is interesting. But, yeah, I don't want to hold y'all long. About 25 minutes. That's pretty much good enough for this topic. But, yeah, as far as the kids today, I don't see there being a huge issue. I think let's point out some of the pros. This technology thing that they got going on, like a child today no longer no longer is going to be in a situation where they don't know. If they have a question, they can literally ask and get the answer. So these children are much, much smarter. Much smarter than past generations. They got way more tools than we ever had. And with them learning how to communicate firsthand, them basically being some of the first generation where they're growing up solely with social media. Like a lot of us, we're like, y'all see me, I got the podcast going, I do different things on social media, but because of the generation I grew up in, this was all adapting. I had to adapt to social media. So we got the new generation coming in where they've always had it. Yeah, basically to the point where when they grow up, cryptocurrency ain't gonna be nothing to be talked about. It's gonna be like, yeah, that's what it is. For us, we're adapting to things and ideas like this. So we definitely want to make sure that, especially as Black African Americans, Black people as far as across the diaspora, but definitely African Americans over here, we want to make sure that we are keeping up with the Kardashians. Say no, not that. Definitely not that. We want to make sure that we are keeping up with technology. We got the STEM programs that are heavy: science, technology, math, and engineering. Throw your kids in that, because this is really the makeup. We're literally building a new world right now, and it's called the metaverse. So your kids have the opportunity to be the architects of the new world, and they don't have to be physical architects like back in our day. If you wanted to build the new world, well, past my day, but when they were building this, you had to be an architect, a mason, an engineer. But with this thing, you can be a science technician. A computer technician. It's not going to be based off of brute. It's going to be based off of smart. So we want to make sure that we're aligning our kids with the right information so they can be the leaders in this next generation. Alright, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I ain't want to beat y'all in too long with this. I want to have some fun. I got some stuff to do as far as making music. But we'll be on here next week, Sunday, 6 o'clock p.m. We're going to start it 6-ish. It's like 6:20-ish, something like that, right? I do appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm going to be cutting this up in the reels, so if you've seen this long one, you can check out the short mini, see how I edit it, and share this, like it, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace.